Patrick Francis Moran was the third Roman Catholic Archbishop of Sydney and the first Australian Cardinal. Early life. Moran was born at Leland Bridge, County Carlow, Ireland on 16 September 1830. His parents were Patrick and Alicia Cullen Moran. Of his three sisters, two became nuns, one of whom died nursing cholera patients. His parents died by the time he was 11 years old. In 1842, at the age of 12, he left Ireland in the company of his uncle, Paul Cullen, rector of the Irish College in Rome. The Moran studied for the priesthood, first at the minor seminary and then at the major seminary. Moran was considered so intellectually bright that he gained his doctorate by acclamation. By 25 he spoke 10 languages, ancient and modern. He focused on finding and editing important documents and manuscripts related to Irish ecclesiastical history. Some editions of his works remain important source materials to this day. He was appointed vice-rector at the Irish College and also took the chair of Hebrew at Propaganda 5. He was also sometime vice-rector of the Scots College in Rome. In 1866 Moran was appointed secretary to his mother's half-brother, Cardinal Paul Cullen of Dublin. Moran was also appointed professor of scripture at Clonmouth College, Dublin. He founded the Irish Ecclesiastical Record. In 1869 he accompanied Cardinal Cullen to the First Vatican Council, a council also attended by Melbourne's then first Archbishop, James Alypius Gould. According to Michael Daniel, it is generally agreed that the definition of the Catholic doctrine of papal infallibility was based on Cullen's proposal, and Ayres suggests that there is strong evidence that Cullen's proposal was largely drafted by Moran. While in Rome and Ireland he was very active politically in opposing English Benedictine plans for monastic foundations undergirding the Catholic Church in Australia. Bishop of Ossory. Moran was appointed coadjutor Bishop of Ossory on the 22nd of December 1871 and was consecrated on the 5th of March 1872 in Dublin by his uncle Cardinal Paul Cullen. On the death of Edward Walsh he succeeded as Bishop of Ossory on the 11th of August 1872. He championed Home Rule and was consulted by W. E. Gladstone prior to the introduction of his Home Rule bills. Cardinal Moran. He was personally chosen and promoted by Pope Leo XIII to head the Archdiocese of Sydney, a clear policy departure from the previous English Benedictine incumbents who were experiencing tension leading the predominantly Irish Australian Catholics. In the Archbishop's farewell audience with Leo XIII, it was evident that the intrigues of parties, the interference of government agencies, and the influence of high ecclesiastics had made the matter almost impossible of decision by propaganda. In the presence of others the Pope said clearly, "We took the selection into our own hands. You are our personal appointment." Moran was appointed to Australia on the 25th of January 1884 and arrived on the 8th of September 1884. He was created cardinal priest on the 27th of July 1885 of the title of St. Susanna. The new Irish-Australian cardinal made it his business to make his presence and leadership felt. Moran began transforming the Sydney St. Patrick's Day festivities by inaugurating the celebration of a solemn high mass in St. Mary's Cathedral on St. Patrick's Day 1885. Over time the day's events changed from an Irish nationalist and political day into an occasion for the demonstration of Irish Catholic power and respectable assimilation, as well as for the affirmation of Irish Catholic solidarity. In the year 1886 it is estimated that Moran travelled 2,500 miles over land and sea, visiting all the dioceses of New Zealand. In 1887 he travelled 6,000 miles to consecrate fellow Irishman Matthew Gibney at Perth. He also travelled to Ballarat, Bathurst, Bendigo, Hobart, Goulburn, Lismore, Melbourne and Rockhampton for the consecration of the cathedrals. Following the 1891 encyclical Rerum Novarum, he supported the right of labourers to better the conditions. During his episcopate, Moran consecrated 14 bishops. He ordained nearly 500 priests, dedicated more than 5,000 churches and professed more than 500 nuns. He made 5 journeys to Rome on church business between 1885 and 1903, but did not participate in the papal conclave of 1903 because of the relatively short notice and the distance, making it impossible for him to reach Rome within 10 days of the death of Pope Leo. Moran. From 1900 to 1901, Moran's leadership survived a crisis when his personal secretary, Dennis O'Haran, was named as co-respondent in the divorce case of the cricketer Arthur Coningham. Moran vigorously defended O'Haran and a jury found in his favour. Moran died in Manly, Sydney, in August 1911, aged 80. 250,000 people witnessed his funeral procession through the centre of Sydney. He is buried in St Mary's Cathedral, Sydney. Publications: Memoir of the Most Rev. Oliver Plunkett, Essays on the Origin, etc., of the Early Irish Church, History of the Catholic Archbishops of Dublin, Historical Sketch of the Persecutions, etc., under Cromwell and the Puritans, Acta S. Brendani, Monasticon Hibernicum, 2 vols. By Mervyn Archdale, as editor. Spicelegium Oriens, being a collection of documents to illustrate the history of the Irish Church from the Reformation to the year 1800, a volume of poems entitled Fragmentary Thoughts. The Federal Government of Australasia. Letters on the Anglican Reformation. St. Patrick Catholic Encyclopedia.